Hi, this is Sandhya Mendonca, and you're listening to my podcast, Spotlight with Sandhya. Writers, scientists, artists, business leaders, politicians, you will find them and many other engaging people right here talking about what they do and how it impacts the world. In this episode, I'm going to be talking to rappers from Bangalore. Punjab and Tamil Nadu had taken to rap much earlier, but Bangalore seems to have caught the bug big time recently. From weekend ciphers in parks to paid gigs, Bangalore's youth are rapping about life and their perceptions of it. In the studio with me today is someone who's known as the father of the rappers and hip-hop artists in Bangalore. And he is all of 33 years old. So, hi, Smokey the Ghost. Let's call you by your real name.
Sure.
So, your real name is?
Sumuk Mysore.
Sumuk Mysore, and you are an engineer and an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And what do you do in your day job?
So I own a medical device company. We make digital stethoscopes. We take music tools like EQs, compressors, etc., and we put it into a stethoscope. So it's used for public health.
That's
Telemedicine.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're bringing your two passions together.
Absolutely.
And your profession and your passion.
Absolutely.
I would say together.
Absolutely.
All right. So how long have you been rapping?
Almost like if you take professionally, I would say about 16 to 18 years. But I started rapping when I was like 10 years old, so about 20 years. Roughly, I would say the start would be 20 years.
You know what would be really nice? And don't tell me it's going to be cheesy. Just do one little impromptu demonstration.
Sure, yeah. Indian rap god, I flow like the Indian Ocean. The ghost spit with wit and emotion. Biju and Hanuman, my Indian bros, we be the trinity chosen from the city of coding. So many dialects that were written and spoken. Doesn't matter what you rhyme in, our statistics were stolen. Dravidian grows like the radium frothing. Maviq twitched in the edge of a coffin. Chilling in my money, I'm in home it so often. Cool breezes so often that my cornea soften. So let the vibe grooving into all of your off. Sugar, spice, salt in the city of sauce. You know, like...
Wow, I just did it. Impromptu. I'm so amazed. That's really fun. So hip-hop would be more...
Hip-hop would be more structured like a song. Like, you know, like if I am to put a chorus on this, I'm going to get somebody to sing on this. That would be a full song that can be consumed by an industrial audience. That would be hip-hop, right? And that would be culture. So if I'm wearing the clothes and I've got like b-boys to dance to this song and I got graffiti about this song on the street corner somewhere, that would be hip-hop. That would be hip-hop culture.
So tell me, why is it, I mean, you've been doing this for the last 18, 20 years, but why is it come into the public, mind now, mind space now, that there is so much of rap and hip-hop happening?
Yeah. Well, there's a tipping point, you know, like Malcolm Gladwell says it right, like it's never one thing, you know, like we've been rapping for so long. We had people from Bombay do Meri Gali Mein. We had Yogi B and Suresh Peters do Petai rap. We got really inspired by that. Orkut came into picture where the internet really blew up. So we would pay 10 rupees and go to these cyber centers, type out raps, get like, you know, the interact, your Raftars, your Yo-Yo Honey Sings, your Badshahs, they were all on Orkut. That's how it started off. And then slowly audio recordings became a thing. Audio equipment became very easy to access. We could keep one at home, you know, and we started recording like that. We used to find studios, we used to record like that. And there was a point, I think, when like Divine got really inspired by what me and Brother we were doing. And he said, yeah, we can do this. We can rap. Started rapping and taking it to a commercial level. And then a movie was inspired by Meri Gali Mein, which Divine did, you know, and that's how hip-hop went from just being a song in a movie, just being a verse in a movie, to being a song in a movie, to being a movie.
Gully Boys. I'm talking about Gully Boys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that really speaks a lot to the... I would say Gully Boy was like the 8 Mile for a lot of the people here. A lot of older people really find that medium to understand what is hip hop very easy than rather than me explaining. Maybe my articulation wasn't that great to my parents, but they were able to understand. They were able to, oh, okay, this is what is hip hop. There's actually skill to this. It's not just them doing something like my mom used to say, laba 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 ಅಂತ ಏನೋ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. Like, which was hilarious, and it was very difficult to explain to her. But now it's more porous. People have understood.
Tell me, how is our Desi hip hop and rap different from the one from the place that it originated, the US?
First of all, I wouldn't call it Desi hip hop. Desi hip hop has been there for a long time. Desi hip hop is like your Hindi, Punjabi hip hop. Like, that has been there for a long time. I would say what's going on is very Indian hip hop. Like, I would give it a separate classification because what makes it hip hop, right? Like the accent. Like, if I sound like a American guy, versus a UK guy, he sounds like a UK guy. That's grime, that's a whole different genre right now. So Indian hip hop, that Mallu accent should come out, when he's rapping that verse. My Kannada accent should come out when I'm rapping that verse. And the content, what I talk about, I'm talking about, my songs are about going bald, I don't know any rap song about going bald. Often raps about, in Dakhni, he raps about Shivajinagar, right? Like, that's a whole different context that an American rapper can never talk about, So it's a very interesting thing that hip hop is not, I wouldn't say the beats are the, classification factor or something like that. I would say the context of it is the classification factor to make it Indian hip hop.
All right. Sounds very interesting to me. And didn't you go on perform also on the streets of
so there was
New York? Did you perform in New York?
I performed in New York as ciphers are a thing in hip hop where a bunch of rappers come together and they rap and they pass the mic to everybody, and there's no real mic. They just
it's just a moment.
It's a moment together, and they all rap to each other and they all appreciate each other's skill. So it's a very B2B occurrence, if I may say.
Right.
And in Bangalore, there was a live music ban.
Yes.
Some time ago, and we did not have venues to rap anymore. So all these guys, couple of rappers, 3 of them, one videographer and 2 rappers, they came to me, Afan, AKX, Soup, and they said, hey, we should do something about this. So we decided that we're going to rap on the street because there's no other place to rap, So we went to Cubbon Park, started rapping.
Was it the first known cipher in Bangalore?
There were ciphers before, I must say, but this was by far the most organized. There were 150 rappers,
Wow.
that showed up, which was quite surprising for me, very exciting for me, because now I've always, as a rapper, thought about myself, but now when I go out there, I see that so many people are rapping. It almost feels like, what can I tell you that I know which will cut short that time that you have to learn to make this rap better, to progress this industry a lot more. That's the goal now,
And that's why they call you the father of this community. There you go. Now you know the answer.
I feel old. Yeah.
Don't feel old. I should be feeling old, not you. So, never mind. I'm just so thrilled to be seeing these voices coming out, and there's, many of them could be trained in music.
Yep.
But it does not have to be.
No.
You just pick up the beat from the street, so to say. And what amazes me is the level of intelligence, the level of articulation that it has energized. People used to think, a poet is someone who studies literature, someone who knows the language well, who's very sophisticated. They put them on a pedestal. But here, all these people, they are artists, they are poets, and they are so quick because in a cipher, they've got to think on their feet and they can't talk nonsense, right? It has to connect to what the other person said.
Well, they can.
Do they talk nonsense?
They can. They can. That's the beautiful part about hip hop. It doesn't have to be meaningful and struggle all the time. Although that is the reason why we, started rapping, because struggle. But it can be stupid. It can be absolutely nonsense and doesn't even have to be words sometimes, you know. So, I mean, that's a mold that we have broken in the recent thing in the global hip hop community. We've been like, you know what, mumble rap is also accepted. You know, sometimes mumble can say things that words cannot. So I recently put one verse in a song where like there is a love song, you know, and in the love song, this guy gets to a point where he's rapping and he cannot express himself. The emotions are too much. So he just mumbles things, you know. So it can be used in a very interesting way. So and today there are mumble rappers in Bangalore who are doing great. The mumble rappers in South India who are amazing. Fault Kai, big shout outs to them. They're doing things I never thought could be done with hip hop.
I didn't know that mumble is a form of expression. I thought people mumble when they cannot find words to express.
Sure.
So,
isn't that interesting though?
It's very interesting.
Don't you think that when they cannot find words to express, they must
still say
present something, right?
Yes,
like
yes,
that?
yes.
Why should that be frowned upon, you know?
No,
Like,
not at all.
yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, the gestures, the what is not said is sometimes more communicative than what is expressed
Non-verbal.
verbally. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Okay, so tell me more about your peers. I mean, tell me the names of the well-known rappers of Bangalore. And
Of
how,
Bangalore?
and you all get together. How does it work?
Well, my crew was called Machas with Attitude. We were one of the
Machas with Attitude.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
like you already.
we were one of the old crews from here. Brother V was my partner in crime there. We also had Big Nick from Chennai who was there, but he used to come down here. We used to go to Chennai a lot and do a lot of rap songs. Then that was, I think, the first generation. We also had lowriders who were Ecstasy Sash. They were doing things before us. They were sort of the people who said, hey, come, let's do something together. You guys are doing something, you know. Then we had the third generation. I mean, I would say we were the second generation. There was the third generation, which was your MC Bijus, Ditto, SID, who really got an industry aspect to this. Martin Yo, Raahi. I would say these were the guys who really bought up Tindlu. You know, the Tindlu is there in Bangalore, this area.
Okay.
Gubbi as well. Gubbi comes from a different. Again, he comes from that Orkut era, you know. But Tindlu was this area that suddenly started sprouting hip hop. It like how Dharavi sprouted hip hop in Mumbai. Like Tindlu is doing that in Karnataka, but not many people talking about it. Yeah. Tindlu is in towards the airport side. Like, you know, the Bellary Road, if you go there, that is Tindlu. But there's also that, I would say that is a one kind of rap, like Biju really pioneered that in my opinion. Like, but I'm sure he will say differently, but I think he is the one who put the pen down and said, that's the style of rap, you know, I'll bring. We call him Machine Gun Biju. He's like super fast, you know, in his style. Gubbi was called Carnage before. He was on Orkut. And he has a very distinct, very different style, you know. So I would say he's a little more in the city type of like texture to his thing. That's how I perceive it. But him, Raghu Weinstore, he's still active doing things. So Kannada hip hop, I must say, is in a very good hands, good place.
I'm glad to know that because I think, you know, you have to be vocal in your language, and for Kannadigas to embrace this is very empowering.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But also, I've noticed that there's a lot of languages, right? Especially Bangalore is a cosmopolitan city. I think it draws the highest number of migrants from different parts of India.
Yeah.
So they're all coming together and creating this little community, which kind of binds people instead of separating them. So this is actually working as a glue.
Absolutely.
This form of art.
Yeah.
So one very interesting thing that seems to have developed, and I'm going to be talking to one of the other rappers from 1.5 who are so much into it. 1.5 is a group of rappers that has captured the heart of Bangalore Right from its name, 1.5 times the fare is what the three-wheeler or auto rickshaw drivers usually demand from the customers here. Farhan, also known as Agahi Raahi, is one of the rappers from One and a Half. How did One and a Half come about, Farhan? And how does it function?
Thank you, Sandhya. So about one and a half, it's a hip hop collective which is based out of Bangalore, and it was made in 2019. Uh, AKX, Vaishnav, Pasha, and myself, we are the co-founders. And initially, when we started off, Smokey actually played a very pivotal role in guiding us and making us understand, the things that go on in the music industry and how we should be doing ciphers. And yeah, it's a hip hop movement which is like a community of cities, rappers, beatboxers, producers, and hip hop artists in general to come together, network with each other, have fun, make music, make projects, and just to know each other and have a safe space. So this is what One and a Half is all about, a community.
You also have another group, DLT Mob. How's that different from One and a Half?
Yeah, Delete Mop is a formal, like more structured and a very tight hip hop group. Like it is not like a community. It is bunch of friends who have made this hip hop crew together to make music, to experiment with music, to go out of their comfort zones, and like not abide by like how a particular song should sound like, what a particular song should have, also to experiment with our own characters as an individual, and things like that. So uh, we have been making songs which are like really aggressive. We have been making songs which are like there is a goofy element to it, and it's a mix of different characters who have come together. And in the coming times we are planning to release an EP, and there are a lot more things planned. And we are a crew who has been doing their music videos also in a very DIY style. Since most of the members are like full-time working as well, we get quite a limited number of time to make music. But whatever time we have gotten, like if it requires the entire night, we will be awake shooting a music videos or making songs and things like that. So it's going on well. And for Delete Mob, we have got an EP planned, which will be coming somewhere around the next month. And there are lots more coming out, like music videos, new EPs, new songs. So yeah, it's going well. And this is DLT Mob for you. And by the way, our the animal that represents DLT Mob is a raccoon. So yeah.
What do you rap about, Farhan?
So we rap about multiple things. Like there's no limitation. So when I started, and when I'm just making song as Agahi Raahi, it might be a little different. I have made my own particular style. I have talked about a lot of socio-political issues in my earlier discography, but then I just could not be just doing it, and I don't want to be known like a rapper who is an activist as well, and things like that. So I have started experimenting a lot, and the topics generally, these days we are following a particular process where the beat comes first. You listen to the beat communicates the emotions, and what kind of song you can actually listen over to that particular beat, and then you start writing. There are various topics. Recently we have made a track wherein it's about our the office work that we do and what we think of it, like what is the emotion that comes out of the office work. And it's like a satire, or you can say the like a diss on the office culture as well, because we are a part of it. And so songs like that. And then different type of songs just expressing how you think about certain things on a daily basis. Then if you're sitting with your friends, you can also talk about that experience in a song. And there are multiple topics that you can choose from. Like there's no set pattern that you have to talk about this only, and we cannot go out of it. And that's also the reason why DLT Mob has been created, so that people can go out of their comfort zone and the usual things that they do.
Do you think you become popular because you use a mix of different languages when you rap?
Not really sure about how popular I am, but mix of languages, yeah. I have been rapping in, initially when I started off, it was like a pure Hindi. Then I got a realization that, Hindi might not be my mother tongue. So let me explore the Urdu that I know. And I'm talking about Urdu and not Dakhni, because this is Bangalore, and a major population of Muslims, they speak Dakhni here. And shout out to Pasha Bhai, who has been doing a great job in reviving the language, in getting the pride back to the language Dakhni. So yeah, I have been rapping in Urdu, Hindi. I've done few verses in English as well, and yeah, my recent addition is like, because I'm from Delhi and I have had friends who are from Haryana, and they have a different style, different language they talk into, and a very unique style. So I kind of learned that while I was in Delhi, and it just came out naturally. I wanted to, experiment with that particular language and see how it sounds. And it sounds pretty well. And so that's the latest addition that is in my language and in my rap, in which I write, and the way I deliver the verses and the song comes out. So not necessarily that it's a mix of language. People might be interested, people might not be interested. So yeah, I do quite a bit of mixing here and there.
What kind of change do you see happening because of the ciphers that you organize?
The first thing is that the city of Bangalore is getting a name to its own hip hop scene, and because of one and a half, a lot of like other cities now know that Bangalore also has a hip hop scene, because hip hop is very a lot of people represent from where they come from by using hip hop. So what you represent kind of becomes like a very important aspect and a part of when you are an artist, especially a hip hop artist, from where you come. Everybody asks from where this particular rapper is, artist is. So one and a half is able to empower the rappers to associate themselves with something which is known across. Now, if you say one and a half, a lot of people in the country, they know that we are talking about Bangalore hip hop. We're talking about these particular rappers, and it's providing a networking opportunity. Great friendships are born out of these ciphers, and people know each other for a long time. I have been knowing a lot of good artists from the city from because of the ciphers since 2019. So it's a great platform to meet, to network, and good music comes out of it when like these artists meet. We have had our fair share of rough things, because of course you don't know the people who associate themselves. We welcome everyone irrespective of whatever they come from. So sometimes there are people who would want to kind of give the one and a half a bad name, or say things about one and a half that are not actually true, and that has been going on. But we have our own ways to deal with it. We have been dealing with it, and the movement sustains for like since 2019 still today. We revived the ciphers back again after the lockdown, and we saw a great response. So that is a proof in itself that this name sustains irrespective of the people associated with it. It's a very strong, unique entity now, which is very closely related to the Bangalore city, and it kind of imbibes the vibe of the Bangalore city itself. So yeah, it has brought a lot of change, and it keeps on bringing a lot of change, empowering a lot of people on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, this according to me has been an impact of one and a half.
ಸ್ಪಿಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಮೊದಲು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲ ಮುನ್ನುಡಿ ಸೀನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡೋರ್ಗೆ ನಾನಾಡೋ ನುಡಿನೇ ನುಡಿ ಹೆಸರಾದ್ರೂ ಪುಟ್ಟಿರ ಕುಸ್ತಿಯಲ್ ಜಗ ಜಟ್ಟಿ ದೃಷ್ಟಿ ಬಿತ್ತು ನಿಂಬೆ ಮೆಣಸು ಕಟ್ ಬಿಡಿ ವಾಕ್ ರಾಪರ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ವಾ ಕರಿಕೆ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನನ್ ಬಾರ್ಸೆ ಗಂಜಿ ತಿಳಿ.
An interesting feature is that many girls have started rapping, and being part of these ciphers seems to have made them bolder. Anushri Acharya is the new kid on the block. She goes by the name Putti Raps. How did you become a rapper, Putti?
Okay, so when I was in 9th standard, a friend of mine made me listen to this song called Nan Kannadiga. That was the very first Kannada rap song that I had heard. And I was so thrilled listening to that I went home, searched for other songs of those artists and started listening to all of them. It was fun and I felt cool by hearting them for some reason. And yeah, this went on for like 2 or 3 years. Then when I was in 2nd PU, I met this person named Rohit Saraswati. He's a hitchhiker and a storyteller who happened to be a guest for an event in my college. I was excited to go talk to him and show him a video of me rapping. And he looked at it and told me, why don't you start writing your own lyrics? I was like, do you really think I can pull it off? And he said, why don't you give it a try? Well, I took a week to think about it. Later I sat down, wrote my first 8 bars, recorded it on my dad's phone, made an account on Instagram and posted it the same day. And that's pretty much how I became a rapper.
You're a college student, Putti. I'm curious, what issues do you rap about?
I mostly write about myself and my experiences. You know, I've written about my school crush, I've written about how I didn't feel like studying for an exam. I wrote about the problems I had to face when I had just started rapping, and how miserable the pandemic was, how there was still hope for things to get better, and stuff like that. All this time, I made sure that I wouldn't talk about things I had no clue about because I was afraid that I would mislead or misinform my audience about certain things. But from now onwards, I'd like to know and talk about issues regarding society and politics as well.
Has becoming a rapper affected your life, Putti?
To be honest, my life's been amazing after I started rapping. First of all, I'm no more just a random girl. There are people who want to listen to my songs and people recognize me as Putti, and that's crazy. And through this, I got to know a lot about myself, what I can actually do, and what more I'm capable of doing. I'm so glad that I could meet other artists because there's always something to learn from each one of them. You know, when I released a song of my own, I realized how much work actually goes into something that looks so simple from the outside, and that made me look at life in a very different way. I even became a part of this rappers and beatboxers team in my college called Spitfire, where we all jammed and learnt a lot more things, corrected our mistakes, we even performed several times, and I got a chance to improve myself. You know, it's been 3 years that I started rapping, and when I look back and see who I used to be and who I am now, they are 2 different people. And, you know, hip hop has made me a better person, and I'm proud of seeing myself participating in rap competitions to even judging one, and knowing that there's still a long way for me to go. I'm ready for each and every opportunity that comes my way.
Being a rapper seems to be an empowering and transformative experience.
Thank you, rappers, for your time today. And to your listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Spotlight with Sandhya as much as I did. Do subscribe to the podcast. I would love to hear from you. The links are in the bio below. I'll be back soon with another interesting guest. Until then, take care.